All right, so we're going to get to the live demo now. Hopefully my systems are behaving. We're going to start off with looking at those attachments and the viewing client capabilities. Then we'll take a look at print list management, reaccess and data mining, data archiving reaccess within SAP, automated vendor invoice processing, external access and search forms, and then content auditing and insights. So before I jump into the live demo, I do want to touch that first use case. So as we mentioned, right out of the gate, we can move all the existing attachments to the archive appliance, and still, from the user's perspective, they see no difference. They go to the services for object, look at the attachment list, click on it, launches our viewing client. They see the documents. We can also link any document to an existing transaction or master data record, either individually or in bulk. I'll do it individually. And then you can view that content directly within SAP or using our viewing client. And we'll take a closer look at that. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, and while Jim's sharing his screen, I just wanted to point out that one of the things and one of the benefits of leveraging this solution is you can certainly use the typical viewer from SAP, but we also have an enhanced viewer, and Jim's going to walk us through that here in just a second. It gives you a lot of extra features and capabilities. It's not a requirement, but it's certainly something that's part of the stack and part of the appliance that we're talking about today.
Very good. That's very true, Jeremy. So here I am in Fiori, and I'm going to go look at a document. We'll do this one at the top, 1.3. Let's take a look at it from 2023. Continue. If I go up here to services for object, attachment list, you'll notice there's nothing attached. I'm going to add a new one. It's going to ask me what type of attachment. It wants to know what file I want to use, so I'm going to tell it which one I want. I'm going to just take a quick look at that document. You notice as I click on it, it launches the document. And then I'm going to continue. So now that document is now associated with this transaction. And whenever I go to look at it, if I double click, it's going to launch our viewing client to take a look at that document. I also, as a user, can access that same document outside of SAP. And one of the cool things we do here is if we look at the metadata for that document, we've passed the metadata from SAP to Mobius. So those indexes are persistent. And if I do searching, I can search based on those parameters that when I archived it, it didn't know, right? The user didn't have to tell it anything. All they had to do is say, I want to attach, tell it what type of document it was. And then behind the scenes, Mobius is passing that data behind the scenes to Mobius for processing. So that's one thing. Another way is we have a capability we call VDR link. I know it's not much of a marketing term, but what it does is it allows you to link any document. In this case, I've set it up to archive a purchase order document and link it to a purchase order. So I'm just going to run this batch file, and all that batch file does is say, hey, take this document and link it to the transaction in SAP. So if I go back over to Fiori, go back to my home screen, display purchase order, and I go take a look at the purchase order I used, which was this one. And we go for services for object. to the attachment list. You'll notice there's a purchase order that was just linked to that transaction. So you noticed I've done this a few times before. So those are two ways that you can link documents, either as individuals or in bulk. And then actually in the viewing client, let's take a little closer look while we're here. So I did show you that I can see the metadata. I can also, you know, it's very responsive. I can favorite documents and put them in the appropriate place as desired. I can collect a variety of documents, and anything I collect will automatically go into this collection. And then I can take action and I can print, download. If I'm authorized, I can manage redaction, presentations. I can share this document. I can share it. I can allow download. I can have a link that expires in a number of minutes. I can allow them to edit annotations as desired. So there's a bunch of things I can do when sharing content. And then also there's the metadata as we just looked at. And audit. And I can actually pop this out if I want to see it bigger. Okay, so that's the first demo segment. Let me stop sharing for a second. Come back over to, and let's go to the next slide. So next we're going to take a look. One of the things we suggest anyone who's doing an archiving project for SAP, before you archive the data, you know which reports are important to you. Chances are you've created custom queries for certain reports that you use in your day-to-day operations. Before you archive the data, it's best practice to archive those critically important reports and output documents, and then make them accessible to folks without having to be inside of SAP. So let's actually, let me share my screen again. And come over to the appliance. So here I am in HANA, and I'm going to navigate to a report, the aged receivables report. And I'm going to run that report wide open. You'll notice I've got over 2,000 records here. It's a large report. And I want to index and archive this report. So all I need to do is go list, print, and then what you'll notice in SAP, every piece of output can be print only, archive only, and print and archive. If they're customer or vendor facing documents, you want to print and archive them. If it's, in this case, a report, I don't really need to print it out. I just want to have it accessible to users it's important to. So I need to indicate which is the archiving object type. In this case, it's a druck list, which is a print list. I need to put in, I can put in information purposes. I just put my own initials. And then in this case, it's print list archiving. And then I just have to tell it I need to do that immediately. So now I'm ready to archive this print list. And you'll notice at the bottom, I get a message. The spool request was sent to SAP printer LP01. And now if I navigate to the archive link monitor, you'll notice I have something sitting in the archive queue. I usually, it's set to check it every 5 minutes, but I'm going to push it along. And then if I refresh, you'll notice that item has dropped off my queue. So now if we go and we go to that particular report, aged receivables, we'll notice we have a new copy of it. And it has many sections, right? Over 2,000 of them. But I can slim that list very quickly down to to the area that I'm interested in seeing, and then I can view that segment of the report. And, you know, I can find the information I care about in that report, right? If I just start typing, it's going to take me right to the section of the report that I care about. And again, I can do all those things related to content. I also have an instance of HANA where we've limited the access. So it's the same report we just ran. This is one of the unique capabilities of our archiving appliance is that in this case, this user only has access to the aged receivables report, and they only have access to a particular section of that report. So that's really good at doing what we call policy-based archiving, where we break reports into logical sections based on your business rules, and then limit the access based on the role of the individuals. So I take that huge report, I break it up into logical sections, and then I serve an entire global community without having to generate that report over and over again. So I also have the ability to mine data. So let me take a look at another report. Oh, actually, I'm not going to toggle back to it, Jeremy. I'll toggle back to that screenshot when I come back. Too much clicking to get back and forth. So let me look at it's a monthly sales report. And what you'll see here is I've got a couple of data extraction policies set up. And these were published by an administrator, and I can customize them as I desire. And I'm interacting with the report. Let's take the one we just did. Or I guess I did this one earlier. And what you'll notice is that I can mine the data from this. So in this case, this report, I have 10 results, and we're really good at extracting data from unstructured content. So all the fields on this report are available to me. All these functions, and there are quite a few functions, are available to me, as well as operators, so that I can create statements that help me extract the meaningful data for me. So in this case, I've limited it to the month-to-date variance more than 1,200 and the year-to-date variance more than 12,000. And I can edit those rules just so I can show you what they look like. I can show you the labels for those rules. I can clear the rules and suggest new ones. We actually use machine learning algorithms to take a best guess at how content should be indexed and data can be extracted. And then as desired, I can preview that data. I can export that data. I can export it to include hidden fields, to not zip if desired, and that can be exported as CSV text or XLS. So now I'm going to switch back because that was the data mining piece. Let me get out of the appliance, come back over here. So yeah, I kind of skipped ahead. So right out of the box, this is something we provide. Typically, other folks that offer solutions, if you want to have this type of data extraction capability, it's a per user charge, and it's included as part of what you deliver with this solution. So next we're going to go into data archiving. It's not sexy, but you need to do it. And there are, SAP has developed capabilities that allow you to do it. So the archive administration, archive management, they provide a set of standard archiving objects that can be leveraged. You can also make copies of those standard objects and create your own custom objects using the archive development kit. And then you can actually create infrastructures so that if people want to re-access the data rather than reloading data, which is never advised, you can actually interrogate using those infrastructures. For me, it's not comfortable for the user because those infrastructures give you a view of the data that's not familiar. That's one thing. The other thing is users have to know what archiving object was used and what infrastructure they should select. The DRB, their document relationship browser, was a big step up from that, because all a user has to do is know what business area they're looking for, say sales and distribution, say they're looking for a sales order, and they don't have to know the archiving object and the information structures that are being used. So anyway, our solution works with all the standard SAP methodology. And let me go now into SAP and let's archive some data. Okay. So I'm actually going to go, there's more than one way to skin this cat. Let's go here to Fiori again. I've got a card for archive administration. And what you'll notice is there's a large number of archiving objects that SAP provides. There's more than 500. Okay, we're going to keep it simple and do an underlying. Oops, I'm in Dutch. I've got to change to English. If I document is the one we want, let me cancel this. Come back here. If I underscore document, there it is. And then you'll notice I've got a variant already set up. Let me just check it. Yes, I want to change that variant. Okay, it's got the one I want to do. Okay, so that's fine. I'll save it. Continue anyway. Yes. All right, so I've maintained the variant attributes. I need to tell it when I want to do this. I want to do it immediately. I have my out device, print only. That's all correct. And now I'm ready to archive some data. Actually, before I go and archive the data, forgive me, let's take a look at that transaction. Okay, I wanted to display the document for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted you to see that if I try to look at that document right now, it's still resident in the database. It came right back up. So let me get that out of the way. And let's execute that. It doesn't like it when I change the variant. Okay, so now it's archiving that data. What you'll notice, there's jobs. One is to write to an Exchange directory. And if I refresh this, it's all finished now. If we come back over to our archiving appliance, we should see a new archiving data job. And there it is. So you can't access the data from here because it's really just a blob. It's a Rio file. But if I go back to that transaction, right, and I display it now, what we should see is down at the bottom. It's already archived. So you'll notice it's pulling the data from the archive appliance. The user doesn't see any difference, right? For them, it's exactly as it normally would have been. Okay. All right. So let me stop sharing. So that's data archiving. And I'll just be upfront. There are data dependencies. You have to archive the underlying financial and cost controlling transactions first before you can get to higher order transactions like sales orders, etc. Accounts payable processing automation is something we do for more than half of our SAP customers. It kind of goes in hand with archiving because it is an early archiving methodology. I've already done the scan capture and OCR, and the solution has already passed invoices that are PO based for matching to SAP, and we leverage SAP's matching routines. And for mismatched PO or non-PO based items, we process those via SAP workflow. And let me share my screen again. Come back over to my appliance. So I already ran the archive for these invoices, but let's go take a look at them. So here's one, a non-PO based one that needs processing. And to process it, all I have to do is click on it. It launches the viewing client so I can see that invoice. And I guess I opened it pretty big. That's okay. And then all I have to do is hit process. And then I can put in some text. I pick the appropriate general ledger account, which for me is going to be petty cash, and then validate that the amount is correct. And then post it. The new financial transaction was created. And if I refresh my screen, that item drops off. If I go and display that document, what you'll notice, so I go to services for object, there's that vendor invoice, and I guess I had done something there. It is. So at this point, they can add attachments, or annotations, anything done either to the attached document in SAP is automatically reflected in the SAP Content Archiving Appliance. I go to that. We just did a non-PO invoice. There's the one we just processed. If I put on an annotation here, it would be reflected to the user in SAP. All right, so that's for a non-PO based one. For a PO based one, for me, the easiest way to get there is MIR6. And I know I'm almost out of time. This will be the last one. I've got a variant I've created for this. So these are ones where they were PO based. They were automatically passed by the SAP Content Archiving Appliance to SAP. We leveraged SAP's three-way matching routines, and automatically it will link the archived invoice to that transaction. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to stop sharing. I know I covered a lot of ground, and it's not all the ground I wanted to cover.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think for these next ones, let's just cover them through the slideware. And then one of the things,
Sure.
so everyone knows, we have another webinar scheduled, and we'll talk about what the contents are. But yeah, if you just want to bounce through those other couple of use cases here, just in the slides versus the
Sure.
live demo, and then
Sure.
for all the folks on the phone, we're as I said, we're on standby and happy to schedule individual meetings with you guys to go through these.